When people speak about ancient Roman food, they usually imagine excess. Banquets. Wine flowing freely. Exotic spices. Tables bending under the weight of luxury. That image is not false, but it belongs to a tiny fraction of Roman society. It is not the food that built the empire. It is not the food that conquered forests, mountains, and hostile frontiers. The real Roman cuisine smelled of smoke, sweat, and raw grain. And it was eaten not for pleasure, but for survival. For a Roman legionary, food was not comfort. It was function. A controlled input into a human system designed to march, dig, stand guard, and kill on command. Rome did not feed soldiers to make them happy. It fed them to keep the system running. That is why most of Roman military cuisine vanished. Not because it was secret. Not because it was rare. But because it was never meant to be remembered. It was too simple. Too repetitive. Too far removed from what we now call culture. It existed only as a tool. And tools are discarded once they stop being useful. Yet one recipe, or more accurately, one formula, can still be reconstructed. Not from cookbooks, but from archaeology, military manuals, and the cold logic of Roman discipline. It was not a recipe of taste. It was a recipe of endurance. A Roman legionary did not begin his day with breakfast. He began it with orders. Sometimes that meant marching. Sometimes digging. Sometimes waiting. Food came later, when the system allowed it. And almost always, it was the same. At the center of everything was grain. Not bread as we know it. Not soft loaves or fragrant flatbreads. But raw wheat. Rome did not issue finished food to its soldiers. It issued ingredients. This was not a logistical failure. It was a deliberate choice. Because preparation itself was part of discipline. Each contubernium, a group of 8 soldiers, received grain. It had to be processed. Stone hand mills are found at nearly every Roman military campsite. This is not coincidence. It is evidence of ritual. After marching all day. After building a fortified camp. After standing guard. The soldiers sat down and turned stone against stone. Slowly. Repetitively. Without conversation. Hundreds of hand mills created a low, constant hum. Archaeologists describe it as insect-like. That sound was not accidental. It calmed the nervous system. It synchronized movement. It erased individuality. 8 men became one rhythm. From this coarse flour they made porridge. Thick. Heavy. Almost tasteless. Sometimes salt was added. Sometimes animal fat. Sometimes sour wine diluted with water. The meal was never meant to satisfy desire. It was meant to meet a requirement. This is the lost recipe of the legionary. Not a dish. A principle. Minimal ingredients. Maximum predictability. Food that does not distract. Does not excite. Does not disappoint. Roman military cuisine was built around one question only. Will this man be able to perform tomorrow? If the answer was yes, the recipe worked. If the answer was no, it was discarded. The legionary did not anticipate meals. He did not crave variety. He knew food would come, and he knew exactly what it would be. That certainty mattered more than flavor. In a world where every day could end in death, repetition was psychological armor. Uniform food created equality. No one ate better. No one ate worse. Envy was reduced. Conflict was minimized. Fairness was enforced through sameness. This was not kindness. It was control. The Roman army did not want soldiers comparing portions or flavors. Comparison breeds resentment. Resentment breeds disobedience. Disobedience kills formations. But food also shaped the mind in quieter ways. When pleasure is removed from eating, expectations shrink. When expectations shrink, disappointment fades. A soldier who does not expect joy from food does not expect joy from life. And a man who expects little is easier to command. Cruel, yes. Effective, absolutely. The Roman system understood something modern culture often forgets. Comfort creates fragility. Predictable hardship creates resilience. Sometimes the ration expanded. Depending on the region, soldiers might receive legumes, lentils, onions, or garlic. These foods were practical. They stored well. They provided energy. But they were never central. Grain always remained the foundation. Because grain could be measured, stored, divided, controlled. Meat appeared rarely, and never as a staple. It was an event, a reward, often after victory. Precisely because of this, it never became an expectation. Habitual meat consumption creates dependency. Dependency creates weakness. Rome avoided both. The legionary learned to see food not as comfort, but as fuel. This changed his relationship with everything else. Hunger became tolerable. Discomfort became normal. Luxury became suspicious. This mindset extended beyond the camp. Archaeological and textual evidence suggests that many veterans continued to eat simply long after leaving the army. Rich civilian cuisine unsettled them. Excessive flavors felt chaotic. Simple food felt safe. Familiar. Ordered. The Legion had trained their nervous systems. This is why calling it a recipe can be misleading. What was lost was not a list of ingredients. It was a philosophy of eating. Eating as discipline. Eating as synchronization. Eating as control. To recreate the legionaries' meal today would feel almost offensive to modern sensibilities. Grain. Water. Salt. A little fat. Nothing else. No choice. No customization. No pleasure. To us, it looks like deprivation. To Rome, it was stability. The Roman military kitchen did not exist to nourish happiness. It existed to nourish function. And those are not the same goal. Modern food culture revolves around expression, variety, and indulgence. Roman food revolved around reliability. And reliability allowed armies to survive years away from home, in hostile lands, without collapsing from within. This recipe vanished not because it failed. It vanished because the world softened. We no longer ask people to live for systems. We expect systems to serve people. Rome demanded the opposite. And yet, if we are honest, the results are undeniable. Simplicity worked. Repetition worked. The absence of choice worked. Rome did not feed its soldiers for happiness. It fed them for empire. And perhaps that is why the empire endured so long. Not on feasts, but on porridge.